The United States' behaviour towards the United Kingdom has been disgraceful. Recently, Prime Minister Keir Starmer decided to limit the United States' use of British military bases in its war against Iran. British bases are only to be used for defensive strikes on Iranian missile sites. Now, you may be thinking that despite some restrictions, the leadership of the United States would understand that the British don't want to get drawn into a conflict with Iran and would still appreciate some access. However, you would be sorely mistaken. Because Starmer placed some restrictions on the use of British bases, the incredibly mature 79-year-old Donald Trump began airing his dissatisfaction with Starmer and the United Kingdom publicly.
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
A few days later, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio took another swipe at the United Kingdom by implying the British weren't there when the Americans needed them. Then, Trump issued another criticism of the United Kingdom and Starmer, stating we don't need people that join wars after they've already been won. Currently, Trump is saying NATO faces a bad future if the Allies don't help to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. So, clearly, Anglo-American relations are strained. Now, aside from the fact that Britain is not obligated to let the Americans use their bases, or that NATO allies are required to help the United States keep the Strait of Hormuz open, let's just look at what the Russians have been doing during this conflict and how they've been treated by the Americans. American officials have admitted Russia is providing locations of US military assets, such as warships and aircrafts, to the Iranians. Trump has also acknowledged this fact. However, did Donald Trump bring this up when he talked to Vladimir Putin recently? No, he didn't. Did Donald Trump chastise the Russians in the way that he attacked the British? No, he didn't. Instead, he said that he had a very good call with President Putin and that Putin wants to be constructive.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah.
In fact, the Americans are now dropping some sanctions on Russian oil. So essentially, we the British are attacked for helping the Americans, while the Russians can put American lives and equipment in danger and are rewarded for it. If it wasn't already clear, I think it's hard to deny at this point. The Americans are no longer a reliable ally.